Welcome to I Am Well podcast. I am your host, Gemma, a nutritionist and mindset coach passionate about all things health and wellness. I'm going to take you on a journey to discovering what health means for you and how to create a life you love living. I'm on a mission to uplift those who feel overwhelmed with what it means to be healthy, reminding you, my listeners, that nutrition is only one aspect of health, and empower you to live your best life on your terms. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to I Am Well podcast. Today we're going to talk on productivity, how to become more productive. And I'm going to give you a little secret weapon that isn't so much of a secret, I guess, but it has, there's a lot of talk around motivation, a lot of talk around discipline, but I'm here to talk on something else. Before I get started into that, I just want to remind you that we have officially opened up Balance program for 2025. So if you want to work with me in 2025, this group program is one like no other. As you could tell by now, if you've been listening to my podcast episodes for a while, I'm not just a nutritionist. I am a mindset coach, and I really look into a holistic approach with everything. And I have a bunch of different tools that we can lean into. So if you want to transform your 2025 next year, if you want to live the life being the best version of yourself, feeling amazing that you can do anything, that you start attracting things to you, then Balance is the program for you. And I highly, highly recommend you click on the link below in the show notes to have a look at it and see if it aligns with you. But yes, let's dive into today's episode. This is all on productivity, how to be more productive. And this is actually a tool that I implemented with my own business today, because one question I actually get a lot when people see that I'm always showing up online, I'm posting every day on my social media. They see that I've created group programs. They see that I've done a partnership business, and people are always like, how do you do that? How do you have that much energy, that much time? You have 2 kids. Like, how are you doing this? You're always coming up with something new. Now, the coming up with something new part, I think that's a little bit of like the ADHD within me. But the discipline part and the productivity part from this is actually over time of what I've learned through my own growth, through my own studies, my own research. But I highly recommend this book too that I read called Feel Good Productivity. I love it. It's who is the author? It's by Ali Abdaal. I'm probably saying that incorrectly, but I highly recommend that book if you want a different approach to being more productive and seeing the results and sticking to your goals, other than just the standard, you have to be more disciplined, you have to have more motivation. Now, I'm sure you've heard this line before where you'll hear that it's not just motivation that you need, it's actually you lacking discipline. And I do agree with that to a certain extent. At the end of the day, discipline is going to be more powerful than motivation. A study that I actually found, studied by Gallup, found that 15% of people worldwide are actively engaged and motivated in their jobs. Only 15%, I should reiterate, only 15%. So that means that a large majority of the world, 85%, either are disengaged or they're feeling unmotivated or even unhappy in the roles that they do. So that means that majority of the listeners here are showing up at work feeling unmotivated and not wanting to go. Another example, if you're on a health journey, on a health kick, and your goal is to be more fit, you're going, this is why New Year's resolutions always fail. You start your New Year's resolution going, I'm going to the gym 3 times a week. I'm going to be eating healthy. I'm going to be meal planning. I'm going to stick this out. And then it falls off the bandwagon because you're going in with just expectations of motivation. And what happens at the end of the day is 85% of us are then doing it feeling disengaged, unmotivated, and unhappy. And then that's where you want to quit trying for your goals anymore. Now, discipline, that's going to get you further than motivation. There was a research published in the Journal of Personality that even though people with high IQs, it can only get you so far. People who had more discipline ended up getting further than the people that had the higher IQs. So discipline is definitely going to get you further than motivation. And that's where it comes in a lot when you're setting those New Year's resolutions. You want to go to the gym 3 times a week. You want to meal prep. You want to be having those healthier meals. And that's where you need that discipline. You do need that discipline to come in. But I'm going to talk to you today on something that I feel is a game changer with this. Making discipline easier to implement. Because the thing with discipline is that I feel like that can only get you so far. Because at the end of the day, that can end up creating that burnout as well. So here's the thing. There's motivation and then there's discipline, which is better discipline. But what is going to make it easier is making things fun. Making things enjoyable. I know it sounds so simplistic when you hear it. Making things fun. But how can you make what you're doing right now fun? How can you make it easier to show up? Because you are going to want to show up when it's fun, when it's easier to do, when it's easier to implement. And this is why I feel like discipline can only get you so far, because discipline is great, but it's looked at as a really negative connotation. When you think of discipline, you're probably picturing someone in authority figure telling you off, that inner voice inside you going, you have to go do this, even though you don't want to, go do it. That's that discipline. But on the other side of this, to make it easier, I would want you to ask yourself, how can I make this fun? If you want to go to the gym 3 times a week, how can you make that fun for you? For me, I get so excited to hop in the car and play whatever I want to play in the car. So that trip, that drive from home to the gym gives me that motivation to go because I'm making it fun. I'm choosing to listen to something that I want to listen to. Now, this might not resonate with other people, but the fact that I have 2 kids and I can never listen to what I want to listen to in the car really excites me when I do get that opportunity on my own. So that's enough for me to want to go. I know that sounds crazy because it's like, well, you could just hop in your car and go anywhere. But if I hop in the car and know that from my house to the gym, it takes about 20 minutes, I get a good 20 minutes to myself where I can listen to whatever I want to. Now, that's just one example, okay? But say if you have something to do, you've brought work home with you and you've got to get some work done from home. How can you make that more fun so then it's easier to do? Could you put on some music in the background that's not going to distract you too much, but that's going to make it more enjoyable to get done? These are the little things that end up going to make that discipline so much easier to implement, and it's going to make you feel more motivated, and that's how you get things done. And this was a really good game changer for me within my own business. I literally, as I'm recording this podcast episode, I literally have a sticker up on my wall that says, how can I make this fun? Because there are those times where I do lack that motivation, where I do lack that discipline, and I'm like, I could just go downstairs right now and go just chuck on a show and do that instead of doing the things that are going to move the needle in my business. So that sticky note is up on the wall to remind me that you can do this, but the thing that you're lacking is it's not enjoyable. You're not going to want to do it if it's not enjoyable. And this is where burnout comes to play in this as well. As I said, the book, Feel Good Productivity. I love that book because it really gets you to look at being productive in a different way. And in that book, he actually talks about burnout. And I feel like, out there at the moment, we're hearing a lot about this. But burnout isn't just you doing too much. Burnout can be doing things that are not bringing you joy, that are not making you happy, that you're forcing yourself to do, and that can also create the burnout that you're experiencing. In the World Health Organization, they actually ended up redefining burnout. So it used to be just like known as a stress syndrome from working too hard or doing too much. But now it's seen as this occupational phenomenon characterized by feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's jobs. So that it has feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job. It's not. So that's a really good definition how they've changed it now. It's not just about how much you're doing that creates burnout. It's about how you feel. So it's not just about the amount of hours that you work that create burnout. It's how you're feeling during those hours that create that burnout. And I had a wonderful lady that I met at an event about 2 months ago who I was talking to, and she really said a line to me that even opened my eyes and got me thinking. I asked a question at this event, like something like, how do you avoid burnout when you're doing so much in your business? And this lovely, lovely lady, she's a breathwork practitioner, she came up to me and said, it's not about how much you're doing, because you can do so much, but it's for her, like she was saying, it's about regulating your nervous system so that you have the capacity to do that much. And that makes sense because with what we're saying today, with how I'm saying bring fun into it, because when you bring fun and when you're enjoying it, that does help relax that nervous system. So you're not in that, the fight or flight mode. You are enjoying your time, and that can be the difference whether or not as to whether you get burnt out or not. So to reiterate, it's not about how long you're working, how many hours you're doing. It's about how you're feeling in that time. So what things can you start implementing today? What change can you implement in your life today? Well, I want you to look at what you're doing. Do you love your job? For example, let's take your job. Do you love your job? Do you love going to work? Do you love what you do? Does it light you up? Does it give you passion? What can you do to change it or make it better? Make it more enjoyable. And straight away, there is going to be a part of you that's going to start coming up with excuses. That's going to start saying, oh yeah, but I can't leave my job, so it doesn't matter. I just have to put up with it. And this is going to kind of hit home here. That voice inside of you that is saying that isn't actually as logical as you think, because that's your belief coming up. That's what you deep down believe. I can't change jobs because it's too hard. I need this amount of money, like this. They're all thoughts that are popping up because you've decided in that belief. You're creating the narrative here. I heard such a good quote the other day. I wish I wrote it down. I heard it on TikTok, but it was something like, oh, if change isn't happening, then that's a choice. Something like that. It was something like, if you're not changing, then that's a choice. If your life isn't changing, then that's a choice. You have choices. You get to choose. So I'm not saying that you have to quit your job, but I'm saying, can you change it to make it better so that you love it, so that it's more enjoyable, so that when you're at work, it's easier to get through and you're not feeling that burnt out? How can you bring the fun to your work? This may require you to get creative here. How can you make it more fun for you at work? Are you able to put earplugs in where you can listen to music? If not, Are you able to dress a little bit differently, to dress that makes you feel good? Are you, there's all these different things that I really want you to try to consider. What are you doing on your lunch break at work? Are you going straight to your phone? Because that's not going to make you feel better. Do you get those 15-minute breaks? I remember when I used to work as a medical receptionist, and I'd have like a 15-minute break in the morning, lunch break, and then the 15-minute break in the afternoon. And you know what I would do? I would go straight on my phone. I would go into the lunchroom and go straight to my phone. That is just going to exhaust me more. The best thing that you could probably do on those breaks is go outside. As soon as you go outside, you've actually got these serotonin receptors in your eyes. As soon as you go outside, you look at the sun, boom, you've just ignited these serotonin receptors. You're going to feel so much better, and this feel-good emotion is going to come over your body. So what can you do to make it fun? What can you do to bring the enjoyment to work? Or do you need to change it? Do you need to have a good look at the situation that you're in? I know some people that have like 3 jobs at once. Do you really need 3 jobs at once, or is that your comfort zone? And what do you really want to do? What really lights you up? What is your passion? And are you too scared to jump into it in case of something not happening, something not working? Everything that I have learned in my time of manifestation and energies and pulling the things, gravitating the things that you want towards you has ever taught me is to trust that it's coming, trust that it's going to work, and you need to trust it to your deepest core. I truly believe that because I'm seeing the results happen in my own world and my own life now. And it's hard because it is years and years of you've got to change this subconscious thought within you, and it's programmed deep down inside you. So it's like a real big reprogramming that you have to do, and you have to be willing to do it too. And that's where you make it fun. To be more productive, to do these things, to lean into meditating in the morning, visualizing in the morning, or writing down a script in the morning of what you want your future to be like. Doing that every day, consistently each day, is going to get you closer and closer to what you want. So make it enjoyable, make it exciting, make it feel like I can't wait to get up and meditate. This is a huge game changer in my business, making things more enjoyable and doing things that I love. And it made me look at my overall business and give it a big overhaul. What are the things that I love doing? Literally, this podcast is an example. I was creating episodes where I thought I had to talk and talk and talk. I had to make up a certain time. I also didn't really have an idea of where I wanted to go with it. I didn't have some structure around it. I was pretty much throwing things at a wall. When I looked at it and realized it was actually ending up draining my energy, doing the podcast towards the end, it wasn't bringing me joy. It was actually draining me, and I was experiencing burnout. I looked at it and I said, how can I change this? How can I make this better? How can I make this more enjoyable for me? And that's where it hit me. It was like a light bulb. I want to talk about mindset. I want to give these motivational speeches. I love it because it empowers me. I'm not just empowering you guys, I'm empowering myself. Like after this, I'm like, shit, yeah, I can go, I'm going to go do whatever I want now. I can do anything. So I love these talks, but I am a nutrition coach, and I really wanted to help educate you guys on the little tools and tips that you can do around your hormones and your lifestyle and making it easier. And all I want to do is help make healthy eating and the healthy way of living easy and sustainable, because I hate diet culture. So I was like, how can I bring this into the podcast that doesn't feel like I'm throwing things at the wall anymore? And I'm like, that's it. I'm going to create structure. My Mondays are going to be my mindset Mondays. My Wednesdays are going to be my wellness Wednesdays. And if I'm only doing 20 minutes per episode, that's fine. If I end up going over and I do 30 minutes, that's fine too. But now I'm enjoying it more. There's less pressure. I can just talk to you guys about what I want to talk to you guys. And I feel like you can feel it through this podcast episode. I feel like you can feel the energy change, the energy is shifting. And already I've had more listeners in last week's episodes than I have ever before. So you can tell this stuff works. You just need to make it fun. So do a big overhaul. Look at your life and say, what is bringing you joy? And what are you doing because you feel like you have to? What are the things that are actually creating that burnout for you? Have a look, do a big overhaul of your life and what needs to be done. What are you putting off too? If we want to be more productive, we've got to do the things that sometimes that aren't fun, that we don't want to do. So what are you putting off and how can you make it more enjoyable? Because if it's more enjoyable, you're going to trick your mind into doing it. If you don't want to go to the gym 3 times a week, you're over it, it's exhausting, what's going to make you get there? All you got to do is get there. Once you get there, then you have no choice but to go into the gym. That's how I see it anyway. So what is going to make you get from A to B? What is going to push you there? For me, it is that time in the car on my own. What's it going to be for you? And only you will know. So take some time out right now. I really encourage you to do a big overhaul of your life. This is quite epic and it's going to be quite a transformation for you and your life too. And the perfect time to do it when we're coming into 2025. For me, I had to I pretty much took myself out of the business a little bit and I had to pretty much take a full week to kind of do this sort of work. Figure out what's causing me burnout, figure out what is draining my energy, how I can change it, and how I can make it better, and how I can make it more enjoyable and more fun. So I'm going to leave that with you all today, and I highly recommend you try this. Reach out to me, see if this episode resonated with you, if these tips have been helpful, if you want to hear anything else, if you have any other topics that you would like me to go into on the podcast, I'm always open for it. And, this at the end of the day is for you guys. But as I said, it helps me at the same time too. So thank you for listening. Please leave a rating or review if you love this episode. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next episode. Bye, guys.